Hashtag content?
Yes. There are people who hate the word content, and they're like, no, stop calling it content. You're not just producing content. You're telling stories.
That's the content.
Yes. Yeah, there's different kinds of content. There's also, like, if I open a bag of chips, there's content in there. It doesn't tell a detailed story. And if it does, I probably need to lay off the coffee.
I understand where they're coming from. That because of the way marketing has evolved over the last 10 years, content implies that you're packaging it for consumption.
And over-commercialization of everything is a serious problem. If I actually did more than break even on this, I might tend to agree that it was an issue.
Fair enough. I am content.
I am also content.
Are you content?
Well, we're about to be.
About to be, yes.
Well, we're about to make some collaboratively together. Hello and welcome to the Grand Adventure. This is a Cypher System one-shot that we're going to be playtesting to see if it's horrible or works well. My name is Crash. I will be your GM for the evening. And tonight I am joined by a bunch of awesome people, including... Let me scroll up to make sure I'm looking at the right thing here, because I was about to read off the game channels, and that's you. That's not you.
Yeah.
No, we've got Beth, Ellie, Io, and Jen with us.
Yes.
And because this is a whole new thing, let's just go down the line and have each of you tell us what kind of character you're playing in Cypher this evening. Beth?
It is the way of the ninja to protect their master forever. It is for a duty that when you swear for life. Even when you're a bit little, and what you are doing is you are passing your master the flour and the chocolate chips and the egg and turning on to preheat the oven and make sure the cookies are fine.
Also, for the record, Harriet, otherwise known as Haru, is a stealthy warrior who moves like a cat.
Ninja. Little old ninja.
A little old ninja. Ellie.
Natalie is a worldly explorer who drives like a maniac. Natalie is not a resident of the retirement community because she's too busy ferrying people anywhere they want to go. She can drive anything, and she doesn't particularly care who she's driving as long as they pay her.
I think the comment that I made during session 0 was some people age gracefully. Natalie just didn't age.
Natalie is waiting for age to catch up.
And if you keep driving,
Natalie ran a red light. Age stopped at the red light like you're supposed to do.
You're right. Natalie is daring age to catch up.
Like Cannonball Run.
Natalie drives a Jeep, and the Jeep may or may not still have the muffler. That is an optional accessory. Jen.
Okay, I'm playing Thora, which is made off of a lovely story that Ellie wrote as part of my character. But the other part of the character is was known as Granny in the candy heist with the tiefling babies. So it's a kind of a mix of those two. She does live in the home with all the other people with 14 floors, right? And
yes, definitely 14 floors. Don't count the windows on the outside.
No, not at all. Right. Not at all. And she's got just tons and tons and tons of grandchildren and great-grandchildren and all the way on down the line. Her husband died a while back, or left her or whatever. And she's just, hanging out in the tower that has 14 levels and occasionally babysitting some of her grandkids or great-grandkids or whatever they are. That's kind of her thing.
Random kids you happen to come across on the street.
Sometimes, yeah.
And Thora is a strong warrior who helps their friends with skills and knowledge flavor.
Yes.
Thora stared at the administrators until they put in a weight room.
Yes.
That makes the character art even better.
Yeah, I should put the character art in instead of what's in there. I don't know how to do it though, but yeah.
We can fix it in post.
Okay.
Or not worry about it, or we can do whatever we want.
Right.
Okay. Io.
Lucille Lewis would like everyone to know that she's served her time, gotten out of the game, one of her grandchildren's a superhero, you know. She's very proud of them.
Oh.
And, well, it's possible that she didn't serve as much time as she maybe should have, given all of the, everything, and that they just caught her on something fairly minor, but that doesn't matter. So, dropping out of character, Lucille Lewis is a retired supervillain, basically. She has psychic powers of command, which she uses to be a horrible goose. And, she is, let me check my sheet, an empathic speaker who separates mind from body.
I love that I had to cover my mouth and hold my jaw shut while people were describing their characters, because otherwise I'd be laughing.
And also, I should note that Lucille technically does live at the assisted living facility. This is very technical. Mostly, it's where she gets dropped off by her grandchild when she gets caught causing trouble.
In my head canon, there have been times where the grandchild dropped her off, they hugged, they waved goodbye, grandchild leaves, either by
Flew
driving
off.
off, flying off, okay.
Mhm.
And as soon as grandchild is out of sight, Lucille turns and walks away from the retirement home. Never goes through the front door. I'm not saying that happens every time, but I'm almost certain it's happened at least once. I could be
Yeah.
wrong. Also, Lucille is the source of our first out of context quote from before we even pressed the record button. Why is a taser so expensive?
That's
Back
really
in my day, you just grabbed a couple wires off of a telephone pole and you held them up to somebody, and we liked it.
good.
They did it, but we did.
We
We
robbed the bank.
did!
We robbed the bank by walking to it uphill through the snow, barefoot, both ways. You didn't hear us complaining about it.
Of course not. Then if you heard us, we'd get caught.
Right.
I have never robbed a bank. I
Complaints
have
of
dropped
the
friends off a block away from the bank and then picked them up a block away when they had much more money with them.
Doesn't that happen? Isn't that why you go to the bank, to get more money?
Exactly.
It makes total sense.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, premise of this
Also, you're
particular...
really good at driving through the snow.
Mhm.
Especially when the snow might be being caused by someone using their ice powers to try to, direct traffic.
Mhm.
It was
Mhm.
not a one-horse open sleigh that was driving through the snow, but the word sleigh may have been used multiple times in a different context.
Yeah.
So the premise
They
of
never talk.
this Cypher system lets you do whatever you want. So we're pretty much doing whatever we want. But there is a premise to this particular adventure, the grand adventure. You may have gathered everyone right now is playing an older member of society because they do live in a society, I've been told.
That's the theory.
They may or may not be grandparents, some of them are, but they all fill this stereotypical archetype in some way, shape, or form. And their mission today is dire. They need to carpool from the assisted living community, where at least some of them reside. We're going to use air quotes around the word reside. It's fine. Don't worry about it. To the
Some of
east
us
side
have-
of town, where their favorite lunch buffet, which is only every other Thursday. So it's important. If you miss this, you got to wait 2 weeks. It's gonna be opening in 2 hours. It's 9 o'clock now. It opens at 11. Ellie, what was that?
I didn't say anything.
Okay. And every now and then I see insert name of person here is typing. It's not always the same person, but I keep looking over like there's no new message, no new message, no new message. I'm like, I need to keep looking. Oh, that's why there were no
But
messages. I was scrolled up.
Oh, well, there you go.
What I typed was, I would like to venture the theory that Natalie has perhaps moved on from the point where her car is her baby to the point where her car is her grandbaby.
Well, considering that the character art has a Jeep Wrangler in the background, some of those are old enough to be grandparents already
Mhm.
and still run, even if you can be on the driver's side and look through to the passenger side while not being inside the vehicle. I've looked at a Jeep Wrangler alongside me on the highway once, where I could see the car in the next lane over.
Yep.
And they were keeping a good pace.
Why don't you have doors? Why don't you
No,
have
they had doors. The doors were there. They were on. They were closed. They weren't 100% intact. There may have been rust holding the rest of it together. But and
you're
never mind.
You're saying it's held together with vibes
Possibly.
and inertia.
Possibly. And that bumper sticker on the back that said, "If you can read me, flip me over," that was stuck on upside down. That was a structural element. that was a load-bearing bumper sticker. So your starting point this evening, well, morning, it's 9:00 a.m., is the New Cannington Assisted Living Community. The apartments in this 14-story building are small. The furnace is in the basement, and it breaks down at least once a month. And the nicest thing one can say about the staff is that they're negligent. But hey, it's quieter than moving in with the kids. They even filled in the pond that was out front for like decades to make a nice little park with walking paths and everything. And eventually they're pretty sure the Canadian geese that called that pond home will leave. They haven't yet, but probably they'll leave eventually. And one last footnote.
As soon as Harriet stops giving them cookie crumbs.
I will not ask if the cookie crumbs provide superpowers.
They're such darlings.
I'm sure that we'll get a recipe eventually, my lord.
Will the recipe require the inclusion of Canadian geese in it? Are you getting ready for Thanksgiving?
No, we want the geese to have superpowers, don't we? Then they will be our goose army.
One last footnote about your location. Like many buildings, the floor numbers skip the number 13. But
it is
keep in mind,
quote, 14, unquote, story building.
This is correct. All right. So one of the things that takes place in Cypher system, the way you level up, for the most part, is you have a thing called GM intrusions. The GM says, here's this thing that's happening to this character. That character gets an XP point. That's redundant. P is for point. They get 1 point of XP, which is still redundant. And
they get
one other character also gets a point of experience. I wasn't redundant that time. And they've got to work out how they're going to overcome this. Some intrusions involve combat, some will not. Some of them can actually be started by players. And yes, Ellie points out GM extrusions are when the GM is 3D printing minis for the group. I love everything about this so far, and we've barely started. I love this. So we are going to have a GM intrusion right now. I'm going to say someone has figured out how to make their token giant. I already made them all giant. They're all 5 times normal size.
Giant. I found out how to make it not 5 times normal size.
Well, that's no fun. Anyway.
But they have to be 5 times normal size so that we can see them with our old person eyes.
Yes, it's like reading glasses.
Yes.
I finally reached the point in my life where I have progressive. My next pair of glasses is going to have progressive bifocals.
I have progressive trifocals already. It's cool.
I'll never forget.
I asked for them because I asked for progressive bifocals because I have to be able to see the axis on my arm. Otherwise, I would do without.
I have bifocals because I need to be able to read the screen in front of me and be able to see that student across the room that thinks I can't see them. But there is a middle distance between what the reading lenses do and what the distance lenses do. So every now and then I still have to take the glasses and lift them up to my forehead to see what the heck is going on. Moving forward. Crab walking to the side. Natalie, I'm going to say that you are in your Jeep right now. So you're doing okay.
Okay.
But the Canadian geese have smelled fear. Okay, maybe it's not fear. Maybe it's cookie crumbs. But they've smelled something. And they are approaching Lucille at speed. So Lucille, you're going to get 1 XP. And someone else can help out with this. There are murder birds heading towards you.
Murder birds. Mm-hmm.
Well, Harriet is going to be somewhere near Lucille because, after all, Lucille is Harriet's master, to whom she swore loyalty all those years ago, back when they were robbing banks in the snow uphill both ways.
That was last week.
That wasn't in snow uphill both ways. That was in the terribly hot summer sun.
It's been a really weird year. It's like climate change or something. Anyway, Harriet can also take a point of XP, but you have murder birds approaching at speed. What would you like to do? They're doing that thing where they're not flying towards you. They are walking in a menacing way that is slightly faster than most elderly people will walk on a normal day, with their necks stretched out long and their beaks pointed right at you. And if you've ever seen inside a goose's mouth, it's a horror show.
They're pretty scary.
You don't laugh at a goose bite.
Have we considered whether they could be distracted with a smoke bomb?
This is a thing you can attempt.
Unless Lucille has a better idea. You? Does yours have any better ideas? Because otherwise I'm going to throw a smoke bomb between us and the birds, and we should hasten away.
Well, I could use and throw on one of them, but that wouldn't stop the others.
Probably not. Maybe you can have one of them interfere if the smoke bomb doesn't work. Smoke bomb!
Okay. So, of course, I made stats for a Canadian goose.
Uh-huh.
Because if they have stats for a T-Rex in Cypher system, Canadian goose is equally terrifying. Canadian goose, in the way I've set it up, is a level 3 creature. So this would be a difficulty 3 task. However, you're using a smoke bomb.
Uh-huh.
So that's an asset. That will lower it to difficulty 2. I'm going to say this is a speed task. So if you wanted to spend effort on this, you would spend 3 points from your speed pool. You might not need to do this because it's already difficulty 2. Every roll needs to be a... Sorry?
I don't think I need to do that yet, right? Every roll's a multiple of 3, right?
Yeah, so if it's difficulty 2, then you need to roll a 6 or higher.
I think that I will stand pat with a 6 or higher.
All
Watch
right.
me do something terrible. So I roll a d20?
Yes.
14.
And a 14 works. All right. Awesome. I was not going to throw a T-Rex at you for the first GM intrusion. That would have been a bit much. You haven't even left the property of the assisted living community yet. All right. So with a 14, the smoke bomb is enough to distract them. They start heading off in a slightly different direction, which buys you just enough time to have everyone pile into the Jeep and you can be off.
All right.
Harriet the Ninja is balancing on the roll bar. Sitting down, mind you. You don't want to stand up on a moving Jeep.
Right.
It may or may not be that there may be a seatbelt somehow attached to the roll bar because this is not the first time you've done this.
Indeed.
I'm not going to say the seatbelt is in any way effective as a seatbelt, but you can at least say, because this story is taking place in Pennsylvania, if a cop pulls you over and says there's a seatbelt law in this state, you can just point at the seatbelt that you're wearing while you're up on the roll bar.
And away we go.
I love this. All right. So you are now heading through this small town in eastern Pennsylvania, fictional town, but never mind, called New Canaanton.
Is Thora with us?
Mhm.
Okay, just making sure.
Yes. A GM can have an intrusion affect more than 2 people, but traditionally it's one person targeted and one person who steps in to say, I'm involved in this too somehow. They don't always have to be in the same place. Sometimes the help is there was a flashback moment.
Okay.
But so long as the story is being forwarded along, you can make some argument towards why this would work, which is one of the things I love about Cypher system, because quite frankly, the arguments I get from players in our games were, but I should be able to do this because of this. That's very frequent.
And you get to say yes.
I get to say, yes, that lowers difficulty by 1. And that's an automatic success, unless it was difficulty 1 already. All right, so you're driving through town, and
Cruising.
I would like everyone to make a roll that involves perception.
Okay.
If you have
I need
a
to
skill
start
that
the sheet.
improves your perception, that can lower the difficulty. By default, it's going to be a difficulty 3 task. So you have to roll 9 or higher. If you have a skill that improves your perception, then you can lower that down to difficulty 2. This is an intellect task, so you can spend 3 points of intellect to lower it down a difficulty as well. This early in the game, we probably don't need to, but it's a difficulty 3 task, roll 9 or higher unless you can do something fancy.
That was a perception roll?
It's an intellect task, but it's to see if you perceive something.
Okay.
So there isn't a roll called perception.
Okay.
But if you
I have
have
a 19.
Okay. Yeah, you're definitely going to notice this. It looks like everyone rolled high.
Okay.
Everyone who's rolled. Yeah, everyone's rolled high. All right. Somebody was playing with the die settings and made the die do something silly when it got a 15. I'm okay with this.
Yep.
That sound effect got into the
Something
recording.
silly, no matter what it rolls.
Awesome. One of the things I like about Foundry is when you roll dice, the sound effect of dice rolling gets into the recording.
Oh,
And I
excellent.
love that aesthetic.
Oh,
But now we're also going to hear a vortex whirling sound when EO rolls, and I love that too. So you all roll high enough. The sky, it starts off in the sky. The sky just sort of shifts. The clouds kind of move a little bit, but not the right way. Almost kind of like, you know those little puzzles where it's a grid and there's one square missing and it's out of order and you got to slide them around to make the puzzle show a picture again? The clouds kind of move like that briefly.
oh dear.
But so did the buildings and the streets around you. And now it's all back the way it was, sort of, but something happened. Something that you're all fairly certain wasn't you. Even if you have to invoke plausible deniability, you're going to. No one can pin this on you. But someone
Everybody
somewhere...
else- Sorry.
No, please, what was that?
I was going to say something in character. Please finish.
Well, you go first.
Did anybody else see that, or have I been awake too long?
If the goose honks high, fair weather. If the goose honks low, foul weather.
Okay, that doesn't
So
answer
what-
I see
if
what you
saw
did
it,
there.
though. I
Kind
mean,
of weather when everything goes swirly for a moment. Perhaps the goose has superpowers?
how would a goose get superpowers? That seems
That-
Oh,
Matter.
I shouldn't answer that.
No.
Okay.
We plead the fifth.
Well, whatever works.
So, did the clouds move first?
The clouds were noticed first, and then if it started somewhere else, you didn't see it. But whatever hit the clouds then hit the buildings and the streets around you as well.
Well,
The first thing I'm doing is looking around to see if there's a clock visible.
Not where you are, but this is not your first day in town. You do know the layout. If you get to the town circle, there's a building that has a clock.
All right, that's where I'm headed then.
Okay. And like I said, you know the layout of this town. There's Main Street and Broad Street, and if you get to either of those, you're going to get to the circle. So,
I'd like to look at our environment from above.
okay. You use your third eye ability, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
And it has an intellect cost of 1, but you have an edge of 1 in intellect, which means you can pretty much do this whenever the heck you feel like it.
Uh-huh.
It's free. And yet somehow Haru still sneaks around you for some reason. But never mind.
Mhm.
We won't talk about the air tag that you may or may not have in your person that you may or may not be aware of.
Mhm.
So while you're looking at it from above, and Natalie is driving towards where she's fairly certain the circle should be, it becomes obvious that for the most part, the town's all there, but it's shuffled.
Where did they put the buffet?
It's in
Oh,
the diner.
dear.
You just got to get to the diner.
I think someone may have decorated.
He's
They adjusted the town's
master.
feng shui.
Oh my.
This is terrible. The feng shui was
Not,
bad enough already.
It seems like someone didn't put all the
Uh-oh.
gotten shuffled.
Well,
Yeah.
if
That would explain some things.
Let me. I'm going to try to climb into the car
okay.
since I think we were clinging to the outside.
Yeah. Well, if whatever shuffling they did gets them to fix that heater in the homes, that would be good. So
For some
annoying.
reason
when
they-
it's off.
For some reason, they frown on people lighting individual fires in their rooms to keep warm.
Right.
I mean, it worked for how many years?
Mm.
All right. As you continue to drive, now, like I said, everything that was in the town seems to be there. It just doesn't seem to be in the right order anymore. And it looks like you're now driving past New Cannington High School. There's a
I
big
look out
banner
the window to
outside.
see if my grandkids are there eating lunch outside.
Well, they're not. They might not be eating lunch outside, but you do see a large banner.
Hmm.
New Cannington High School Annual Bake Sale.
Ooh.
It's a
Ooh.
once-a-year fundraiser opportunity. The home economics classes and the school's PTA have joined forces to create a variety of baked goods from healthy to diabetes-inducing. All for really cheap, and all to help support the school with book purchases, chalkboard eraser, whatever the kids need these days. We don't know. This is another GM intrusion, and this is for Thora.
Okay.
Because Thora has an exponentially increasing number of grandchildren.
Yes, our line is very fertile.
Well, some of them may have been acquired through adoption. Some of them may have been acquired through, air quotes, adoption.
Yeah.
Depending. There is a tabaxi that's 7 feet tall and technically still a child that is coming close to adopting faster than Thora, but still not on Thora's level. But
all right, let's go
as
see
a grandparent, you, because you're basing this character off of the grandmother from that Tea from the Escape game.
Yeah.
I mean, you never have enough sweets.
Of course. You need all the sweeties for, every grandkid, and I've lost track of how many there are, but I recognize their faces because I have pictures of them all on this iPhone right here. Yep. Let's go see what the kids made.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
and I have to go support my grandchild in buying their gear.
Snacks. You know they
Very
need.
expensive to be a teenage superhero these days.
Mm.
What would I roll for area knowledge?
In this case, it would be, I would say it would be an intellect task, but at this point, it is if you're trying to find your way, it is
no. Well, first of all, if I'm trying to find my way, I have an ability that lets me do that, or at least makes it easier. But no, I am wondering when this bake sale usually happens.
Once a year. This is the only day they're doing it.
Yeah, but is this the normal day?
Yes.
Okay.
For all you know. But yes. You remember, I'm not going to require a roll for this. You remember hearing off and on that the bake sale was coming up.
Okay.
So
It's a
this
plausible day.
Yes, this is not taking you by surprise, but you might not necessarily remember, it was going to be today. So here is the difficulty you have. It is currently 9:15. You got to get to the diner by 11 o'clock. Thora and Harriet, specifically, so this will be an intrusion for both of you, have said they need to go in and either support through purchases or support by gathering sweets, their grandchildren.
Yep.
You are going to need to use force of will to pull yourselves away because the buffet awaits.
Right.
This is going to be an intellect task. I'm going to say it is difficulty 5, unless you've got something you can do to make it be easier.
I'm just going to do an intellect one, see what happens.
That is a 2.
That is a 2.
The dice
I have
never
forgotten about
lie.
the buffet entirely.
As a difficulty 5 task, you have to roll a 15 or higher.
Yeah.
So
It's
Not going to happen.
Harriet/Haru, please make your roll.
Well, it's
Is it
Lucille.
Haru or Lucille?
Lucille.
Oh, it was
Lucille's the one who has the. Yep. On the other hand, Harriet's
it was
not
Lucille
going
that was
to.
doing that, yeah.
Yes, Harriet's not going to stop her.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing. I'm zoomed in on Harriet's character right now because I think somebody typed something in the chat, so it zoomed in on the character that was typing something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There.
And so I was saying the name of the character I was looking at. So in that case, Lucille, please make your roll.
Is this a regular intellect roll or is this an intellect to defense roll?
It's a regular intellect roll. Basically, it's willpower. You're pulling yourself away from the baked goods because you know you've got a buffet to go to. 14 is also not going to do it.
Can I spend?
After the roll, you can't spend points to make the roll be easier. You before the roll, you can say, I'm going to exert effort, and that costs 3 points of whatever pool the roll is. In this case, it was intellect, so you could have spent 3 intellect points.
Couldn't use
There
I didn't
is.
realize you couldn't use effort after.
Well, this is our first time playing this where we're getting used to the rules. So this is the training montage, basically, except I'm not cutting from part to part. There is a point you can spend afterwards, though. At any point, if there's a roll that people don't like, you can spend a point of XP, I'm redundant again, to re-roll any failed roll. It's basically
You do
like
have one.
inspiration. You do have 1 XP, so you could spend that XP to roll again.
No.
Can they? Okay. I was
Okay.
going to say, can they spend from their intellect pool to make the roll easier on the second
They-
roll? Or
Yes.
does it have to be the same target number? Okay.
They can spend from that again. But we have 2 fails, and I think I heard EO say no. So did you all go in, or are there people waiting in the Jeep?
Well, first of all, Natalie is going to pull over because Natalie is very aware that Thora can turn her Jeep into a cube.
Yep.
But Natalie is going to go in, but is going to go in search of a clock.
Unfortunately, they have no clocks at the bake sale other than the one that's on the wall of the gym, which is where they're holding the bake sale.
Ah.
And one look at the clock lets you know that that is not the right time.
Well,
The second hand is moving back and forth.
okay.
It may have been like that for some time.
Then I am headed into the school.
Okay?
Harriet is stalking Lucille as is the way of the ninja. Because after all, if you have to make sure that your master has her pocketbook.
That's the way of the ninja, don't you know?
Mm-hmm. It is the way
Oh
of
my
the ninja.
gosh.
Yeah, I never said that she was anywhere remotely remote. I mean, she probably comes from like, Oklahoma or something.
It's she comes from Minnesota.
Mhm.
She's a Norwegian Lutheran ninja.
No, we don't know what kind of ninja she is. She's usually wearing her ninja clothes.
I was
Also-
trying to get close to the Garrison Keillor line of Norwegian bachelor farmers.
Oh my goodness.
But anyway,
Which all
she's
happen
just
to be
going to
Lutheran.
sneak around. People should not be seeing where the ninja is very much because she's under the table. She's under that table. She's, behind someone's, stand there.
And
Okay.
Dora's just going
Lucille
around
is
saying hi to her
gently-
grandkids
Mm-hmm.
and great grandkids, and on down the line, and buying a baked good from each of them.
Okay.
Lucille is gently suggesting to people that they should go look over there and look at that table over there. And
And you cut out.
no, I didn't. I just stopped talking.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you should look over there. I think there's some snickerdoodles over there. Grab the entire contents of the table that they were looking at briefly.
No. She's encouraging people to go buy her grandchild.
Oh, you are trying to be a sales rep, basically. Okay. So
And I have an ability known as Fast Talk that costs 1 intellect point that says when speaking with an intelligent creature who can understand you and isn't hostile, you convince that creature to take 1 reasonable action in the next round.
you know what? Make an intellect roll for me.
Okay.
That's a 15. All right. So here's what I'm going to say. You got to the school at 9:15. It is now 9:45. There are no more baked goods.
Okay.
Except for the ones that Thora has purchased. You've got
Yes.
5 grocery bags.
I have 5 grocery bags of sweets.
They are double bagged and they are dense.
Yes, and I'm strong enough to carry them back. So.
Yes.
Mhm.
I could argue that in a pinch, you could use one of these bags as a medium weapon, which you are skilled in.
Right? Yeah. Mhm.
But perhaps
Yep.
you won't because they're for your grandkids.
Right.
The problem here is specifically you just spent
Those-
half an hour here.
Are those all going to fit in the Jeep?
Most of them will fit in my bag. It'll be fine.
Mm.
Giant purse, it's all good.
Mm.
How do you think I gather sweeties for all of my grandkids when I go out? This is it.
Mm. Mm.
So while you're taking that stuff to the Jeep, let's switch over to Natalie, who rolled a speed roll with some various things to make it be lower difficulty to get to the office. I'm going to say it was not too hard. They have great big signs that say visitors must visit the office, and there's arrows that point there. So you got there very quickly. What do you want to do at the office?
I want to ask real quick if my watch is correct.
Oh, well, let's take a look here. Oh, yeah. It's about 5 seconds off.
I appreciate it. That can be crucial when you're dealing with GPS.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. Why, the other day, and she starts going into a story that you probably don't care about.
So I'll listen to it.
Okay.
Doesn't hurt to have someone friendly to you in the high school office.
Okay. Around the time the story ends, and you find a way to politely say goodbye, and you go out to your Jeep, you see 5 grocery bags of baked goods being loaded into the back.
Yep.
I like the timing here.
It is 9:45. You only have an hour and 15 minutes to get there early.
Okay.
While they were spending half an hour looting the bake sale.
Not just looting. The bake sale was not just 5 grocery bags of items.
Pillaging
Right.
the bake sale.
Well, I bought from all of my grandkids, and there's a lot.
Baked goods redistribution.
Mhm.
Half the high school says, Grandma! And then several of them say, wait, she's your grandma too?
The
This is how
the
they
family
have cousins.
reunions
It's
are
fine.
The family reunions are the state of Rhode Island.
They don't.
They just buy out the state.
Mhm.
they rent out the one banquet hall and the one next to that, and the football field behind that, and the fairground 2 blocks over from that.
Eventually, we're just gonna buy out the stadium and just be like, here, everybody in.
It spread to, I'm going to say it's canon, the entirety of Rhode Island.
It could be.
Everyone
Meanwhile-
who lives in Rhode Island just decides, you know what, we're not going to go out that day. Traffic is going to be too much of a pain, except for the Rhode Islanders that are also your grandkids.
Right. Some of them moved there, Uh-huh.
Everybody in Rhode Island, everybody who lives in Rhode Island, goes to go out their front door and finds Thora staring at them.
And they go back in instead.
And they say, Grandma, and give her a great big hug.
Oh, you're one of mine.
Here
have
we
a
go.
sweetie.
You know what? I'm going to say it's quite possible that it's canon. All of Rhode Island is actually Thora's grandkids.
It could be. Why not?
Possibly only honorary, technically, but you never know.
Well, we've
All
already
adopted
discussed.
is still grandkids,
Yes, adopted and air quotes adopted.
And meanwhile, while Lucille and Thora were raiding the bake sale,
Uh-huh.
Natalie spent no less than 20 minutes listening to a story in the office.
About someone getting lost because they didn't trust their GPS properly.
Mm-hmm.
Or did trust their GPS, and that was the problem. At this point,
Natalie-
you're still not sure.
Natalie's big concern since that weird twisty thing has been making sure that we're still in the right time.
We wouldn't want to be late.
Like, is this because someone's screwing with things, or is this because we've traveled forward 5 years and they've just torn down and rebuilt a bunch of buildings?
Based on what you have seen and the conversations you've had, at this point, it looks like someone messed with space, but not time.
Okay.
Although, really, you should be at the buffet by now.
Oh, sure.
The way you drive,
We'll get
you
there.
should be at the buffet by now.
Also,
All right.
if we went forward in time 5 years, there's a guy at the bar tonight who's going to be really disappointed.
Hopefully all the calendars had the right date on them.
Anyway, back in the Jeep.
I love this game so darn much. I love that I get to hang out with my friends and do silly things like this. Doesn't even matter what game. Baby Tiefling Escape was only remotely related to Dungeons and Dragons.
Right. Yeah.
This-
Just a little.
This is slightly less related, although based on what we said about Rhode Island, there is a possibility that one of the senators from Rhode Island is in fact a tiefling. Which
That would be
one?
Great.
I will let you decide.
Maybe they take turns.
Being tieflings?
No,
senators.
being the senators.
Grandma said it was my turn to be senator from Rhode Island.
Yep.
I don't know. You can do some pretty marvelous things with polymorph these days.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
that's true. You could do
True.
it. Hmm. You're all the senator, just at different times.
My tiefling was the one that could cast Ray of Frost at will.
Mhm.
So I can just imagine like someone's complaining about global warming. You're like, well, I'm resistant to heat-based attacks. I'm fine with it. But also, I like your filibuster. However, no. Ray of Frost.
Right, Frost.
The honorable senator from Rhode Island will kindly refrain from freezing the filibuster speaker. That's the third one this week. Okay, so you continue driving, And again, you recognize every road you're on, but they don't line up with the roads you're supposed to be on. And then you like go through an intersection and the road should continue, but it's a different road. And the houses that are on this road are the right road. But this road is not where it should be. They've been shuffled. And right around now, Natalie, does your Jeep usually have black smoke come out the tailpipe?
Not usually. It's been known to do it.
Okay. What about from out of the radiator?
Black smoke from out of the radiator is less common.
All right. Well, it makes a sputtering sound after this happens and comes to a stop. This is another GM intrusion. But I'm going to be kind about this one. Up at, like, less than a block away, you see a garage. And I don't mean garage to park a car. I mean a repair shop. Autos Repairs. This greasy two-bay garage has a parking lot full of vehicles packed bumper to bumper and in varying states of repair and or decay. Additional vehicles are similarly placed across the street in an empty lot covered in gravel. The eponymous mechanic runs the repair business by sitting in a lawn chair in the center of one of the two garage bays and reading a paper. There is also a vehicle in the other bay that is currently being worked on. You hear the sound of metal hitting metal, and you see two legs sticking up from under the car, not in a this fell on me way, but in a I'm working under this way.
Perhaps they have tools there, Natalie.
Oh, I got tools. I just might need to get the car up on a riser. I'll pull into the garage.
Okay. You come up to the garage, and the guy reading the paper, who, like I said, his name is Otto, looks up from his paper. You can't pull into the bay because he's sitting in a lawn chair in the middle of it, unless you decide that you're going to alter his positioning. Not run him over, just push him gently with the bumper towards the back of the... No, don't do that. Well, you could if you want. But he looks up, looks down on his paper, folds the paper, stands up. This is all very measured and slow. Sets the paper down on the chair and walks over to the car. Right? What seems to be the problem?
Black smoke from the exhaust, black smoke from the radiator. $100 to use your bay for an hour.
Do me a favor. Can you pop the hood?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you want to look at it, but...
Well, you asked to use my bay for an hour. I might be able to fix it in half that time, depending on what's wrong.
All right. Again, if you want to take a look, but nobody's worked on this car but me.
Oh, I've got my way with machines. Do you pop the hood is the question.
Natalie has popped the hood and gotten out of the car at this point.
Okay. So he looks in there and he taps a few wires and takes a big sniff, which is a little weird. Yeah, I can get this fixed in about half an hour. Let's say $75.
$100, but I'm going to look over your shoulder while you do it.
Well, you're twisting my arm behind my back offering more money, but sure, it's a deal. And he reaches out a hand that is not at all covered in grease. Well, you don't want to read a paper while your hand is covered in grease, or the words all start to blend together. Literally.
5 well-worn 20s. Specifically well-worn 20s. Chain chains.
Okay. He puts them in that front pocket of his overalls, and he goes and grabs a few tools, and he starts fiddling with things.
I am watching like a hawk.
Okay. If you want to, I'm assuming you watching like a hawk means you want to see exactly what he's doing, and you want to understand what he's doing.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say that in this particular case, that would also be an intellect roll. I would say difficulty 4.
Okay, I've got repair vehicles to bring that down.
Yep, that'll bring it down to a 3. Anything else?
I'm going to spend for my pool.
Okay. That'll bring it down to a 2. Make your roll. And a 14 beats a 6. So
14, actually, I didn't need to reduce the difficulty at all.
This is true, but we don't know that in advance.
True.
Yeah. And the weird thing that's taking me some getting used to in Cypher is, wow, a lot of these target numbers are really low. But then you think about how, when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, their AC is 15. You got to get a 15 or higher. And then you're adding +9 to your roll.
Right, exactly.
So the math is different, but it works out. If he's doing anything, it's the equivalent of, have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in again? Everything is getting put back exactly the way he found it.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to interfere yet.
Okay. All right. And after he's done that, he says, do me a favor, turn on the ignition.
I'm going to ask Thor to turn the ignition.
Okay. I'll go over and turn the ignition. There you go.
It does that thing where anyone wants to say it wants to turn over. As a matter of fact, Otto says, it wants to turn over.
I glare at it harder.
Dagnabbit, if I'm using my D&D house rule, that counts as inspiration. There is no inspiration in this game,
No,
but
there's not.
XP can be spent to re-roll. So that's an
Okay.
XP. You get 1 XP for this.
I get 1 XP for this.
Yes, for making me laugh.
Okay. Where do I put
And-
that? XP is 0. Give it a 1? Is that
Yes.
accurate? Okay.
Actually, that should be a 2 because you and
Yes, because you had a GM
and the
intrusion
steel.
for the last scene.
Oh,
Right.
okay. So
Yes, so that should be a 2
still
for
should
you
be
now.
a 2.
okay.
Yes.
It's a 2. All right. Got it.
And
Right, Lucille's down to 1. Okay.
Is Lucille down to 1?
Yeah, because Eo spent 1 to try to.
No, I didn't.
no,
Oh, you didn't spend that? Okay, never mind. You didn't do a reroll or anything. Okay, so you have 2. Both of you are 2.
no, EO opted not to,
Right. I remember.
which is fine because you can save up XP for when you really need them or want to use them or whatever. A lot of GMs in Cypher system will have a house rule of capping XP at 10 because otherwise it's the equivalent of holding on to that level 1 health potion. You've already beaten the big bad, but you might need that health potion later.
Mhm.
You saved it until you needed it.
Then
Whatever.
you didn't need it.
Yeah, exactly. And spending XP is not just how you do rerolls and stuff, it's how you level up. So spend them. Similarly, there's a cap on how many ciphers you can have. You can only have 2 at the start. If you're an adept, you can have 3 because of an ability the adepts get. If you have more than that, if you don't get rid of them or use them, you get GM intrusions that involve the ciphers, and it's usually bad. But fun for the GM. Okay, it wants to turn over. Do me a favor, smack her right over there.
What now?
I am going to do that. I am not going to let Thora do it.
Well, Thor is still turning the ignition.
I'm like trying to turn the ignition. I'm glaring at it as hard as I can.
It's doing that. As soon as Natalie smacks it right over there, it turns over and it's purring like a kitten. There is no black smoke at all. There is the slightest possibility that the exhaust smells slightly like lavender. Okay, no, that's diesel. That is mostly diesel.
Diesel smells nothing like lavender.
It might be the
Well-
baked goods.
Mm,
Or my perfume. Might be my perfume too.
that's true.
That's a heck of a trick, sir. I'll
Well,
have to remember that.
glad to be of service. Thanks for your money. Y'all come back now, you hear?
You bet.
All right, so I vacate the seat that Natalie would be driving in and go back to probably the second seat in the front. And I'm considering trying to call this diner to see if we can get a reservation. Unless we're
You
really
just need
close.
to remember the diner's phone number.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can
I
scroll
have-
through your phone numbers,
I could.
but you've got the phone numbers for all of your grandkids in there.
Right. How do I know which one is these? Is it? Mm.
5 minutes later, you've scrolled halfway through the A's.
Okay. This is not going to work. I have too many grandkids in here, and
Actually,
Should
wait,
really
no,
put their
that's wrong.
names
You've scrolled
by it.
halfway through the A's with a little accent on top.
oh,
You got a ways to go.
there's a lot. There's
Yes.
a lot of them.
Just
Mhm.
just press 0 and then say, operator, give me the number of the diner that has the really good buffet.
Oh, that's a great idea. So I press 0.
As you're
and then
pulling
I get the
away,
operator. Mhm.
you hear Otto yelling, Kevin, you finished changing that oil yet?
Kevin.
You do not hear the reply.
Okay. So I press 0 and I wait for an operator.
Operators.
What is the nature of your dialing emergency?
I'm trying to get a we're trying to get to a restaurant with a good buffet,
Press
but I
1
don't know their
if you
phone
need
number.
to speak with customer service. Press 2.
1.
Thank you for contacting customer service. Please listen closely because
The following up.
our menu has changed. You've heard this menu 15,000 times.
I hang up. Well, that's not going to work.
Mm,
You know, we've been playing for a little over an hour. What do you say we take a short break?
Okay.
Well, I have a smartphone.
Yeah.
That's an excellent question. I think we gave Thoros.
I think we did. Let's check.
Let me check.
I mean, I know
It
other
says-
people here have smartphones.
It says cell
Right.
phone, but based on our discussion, it's a smartphone.
Yeah. Yeah, she has one. It's a smartphone.
Yeah, because
just says
we
cell
needed a
phone,
phone that
yeah.
had pictures of all of her grandkids.
Right. Right.
So that would be a smartphone.
I can't believe this just occurred to me. Let's see if the Maps app corresponds to reality right now.
Oh.
It does not.
It's different now. Everything's different if you wait long enough, you know.
According to this map that you're looking at, you are just now leaving Otto's repairs, but the map says you are in fact halfway to Jonah City.
And that's where we're going to end it.
If we ended at Jonah City, you fail the mission. But I'm going to hit the pause button. Let's take a short break. I need to stretch my legs.
All right.
Button.
The button has been pressed. We are not live because,
We're recording.
yes, this has been
I can press
pre-recorded.
that button in 6 notes.
Dagnabbit, take your point of XP. I tried so hard. And I did not get very far. All right, so you keep driving around, or driving straight. It apparently doesn't matter. Whatever you turn, it's not going to be where you thought you were going to go anyway. But you're not going down any street twice, so eventually you'll get there, maybe, hopefully, before 2 weeks from now. Otto's garage was a bit of a setback, so that took a half an hour of time, so now it is 10:15. You got 45 minutes, after which you will not be there early.
And as we all know, that's the same thing as being there late.
Exactly.
Because if we are not there early, all the egg rolls will be gone.
If you
So-
don't get there early, you can't complain about the spots where there should be a tray at the buffet, but it's just like the tray is missing and there's like steamy water coming up from that spot. You can't complain about that if you get there on time.
So the maps on our devices reflect our previous reality.
And not how things are right now.
So I'm going to use the map on my device, no matter how slow it is, to remind myself of I'm going to go to where on the map to where the diner is and remind myself of the name of the diner.
Okay. The name of the diner is, if I scroll
It's-
up to that spot.
I don't need to know it out of character.
Well, I feel like saying it in character anyway. It's the New Cannington Diner. It was very
Okay.
imaginative.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. The new Cannington Diner, and I'm hoping we can get some photographs of it.
Street
But
view.
like the exterior.
And I don't have an exterior photograph, but
Not
It's
not
what-
out of character. I'm looking for something that I can pass to Lucille to say, can you keep an eye from the sky
Oh, of
and see if you can
course.
see it?
oh, this is a bi-weekly ritual for all of you. You know what it looks like. It's one of those
Okay.
things that looks like an old school camper, where it's got like shiny aluminum siding and a curved roof.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking I might have been out of
everywhere.
town for a while.
Your character may or may not remember when that was a new aesthetic.
Yes. All right, Lucille, would you keep an eye out, an eye in the sky, and see? Let me know if you see it.
Mm-hmm.
I just shared the interior with you.
Yeah,
Oh,
It's that kind of diner.
It's a boxcar diner.
cool.
No wonder we have to get there early. Otherwise, it'll be far too crowded. It will be very difficult to be stealthy except by crawling along the ceiling. And then, how do you hold your tray?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Okay.
Otto's repairs.
Wow.
But what you're coming up to now is not any of those locations. It's a place where you hope you don't come to stay for a very long time. There's a small cemetery here. It is a location that is referred to as the Tower because there's a tower there. The Tower is an old structure that overlooks one of the local cemeteries. It resembles a 2-story gazebo with the first floor made of stone and the second floor restored, and there's air quotes there, using concrete. An iron spiral staircase links the 2 levels, both of which are covered in graffiti. Local folklore says that it was built in the colonial era as a lookout post to keep watch for attacks from Native Americans. This story becomes less believable when one notices that it was built in 1867, and also it's on the wrong side of the town to be looking out for any attack from a frontier. But modern myths don't tend to care about facts that disagree with them. At this particular tower, and keep in mind this is in the middle of the not the middle of the school day. It's morning. School is in session. There are still, however, a bunch of local youths, some of them with imaginative hairstyles, who seem to be drinking recreational beverages and hanging out. And as you are driving past, some of them move so that it gets to be a little more difficult to drive further down the road.
Are they going to attempt to Shanghai us for our baked goods?
Oh, well, that would be novel of them, wouldn't it?
Perhaps. Master, are we going to encourage the youth or discourage them?
And I've shared a picture
Oh,
of
aren't
you.
they so cute? They're trying to be troublemakers.
Or
Yes,
Lucille,
complete
you
with
know any
leather
of these
jackets. They
Oh,
might
no.
be pleather jackets.
I'm
Oh no.
gonna get out of the car and stare at them, see if any of them look familiar. I'm going through my phone, the pictures on the phone. It's like,
But
do I
they're not one of
find
yours.
one? They're not one of
They-
mine. Okay.
No.
All right.
Lucille is going to lean out of the car and wave.
One of them starts to
Hello,
wave, and
dearies.
one of them starts to wave, and the one next to them pulls their arm down.
Hey,
Is
kids.
this banditry?
Hey, kids. Banditry.
What now?
You got a good start at a blockade here. Pretty impressive. I appreciate the choice of drink. You should know that I did gun running in Cambodia, and I know how to deal with blockades.
Oh, she does. She's very good at it.
They look at each other and just start laughing.
Oh, no, no, no. That won't do at all. You should take my friend seriously. Okay, so, let's see.
I'm just
Can
going to be
I use terrifying presence on whichever one of them seems to be in charge?
You most certainly can attempt this, yes. So let's see. Let me look up their stats. I named them Hooligan.
Hooligan 1, Hooligan 2, Hooligan 3. No, there's Hool and Hooligan.
Yeah, well, one of them hooled, and then they did it again.
Mhm.
Yes. They have a rival gang, the Shenans. Okay, so you want to use your terrifying presence. They are difficulty 1 opponents.
How does this work? It doesn't say there's a roll, so it's not telling me what.
Well, the roll is based on what level you're using it against, and any other factors that are involved. Let me look up terrifying presence. You convince one intelligent target of level 3 or lower, and they're level 1, so they're lower, that you are its worst nightmare. The target must be within short range. I'm going to say they are within short range, or they wouldn't be able to block the Jeep, and be able to understand you. If you use smaller words, you should be okay. I'll be honest, half of the multisyllabic words that Natalie used, they were laughing because they thought you were just speaking funny.
Lucille
Cambodia was
is
particularly difficult.
going to start lecturing them about basically our exploits for a different. Basically, when someone starts telling a long, winding story.
Grandpa Simpson.
Yes, that, except it's about supervillain antics, blockade breaking, and that time that Natalie borrowed a jet.
Okay. That last line. Just throwing that in there. One with the force, one with the force. Okay. I'm fine. I'm fine. Not.
Lost it.
Yep, lost it.
They're level 1. You are using terrifying presence, which I can assure you is an asset in this case that lowers its difficulty 0. You don't need to roll for this to work well. It just happens.
I know the difficulty is down to 0, but I am also going to assist.
I'm going to ask for a roll anyway, though.
By
Just to
pulling
see.
this out of the back seat.
Oh,
Okay, so the difficulty is -1. Because you are armed with a shotgun. They are armed with empty recreational beverages.
Yes.
Which, let's face it, they probably can't afford the stronger stuff. They're Monster Energy drinks.
Nope.
Okay. Any roll would have worked. I wanted to see if you got a nat 20, just because that'd be wonderful. But in any case, you convince one of them that maybe they've made a lot of wrong life choices. Maybe it's time for them to enroll in the local community college. Turn
And
their
look
life
up
around.
Cambodia in the 80s.
Yeah, well, they were coming to a conclusion about their decisions as they were actively running away.
Oh.
So you are yelling that after them. And the rest of the group, when they see the shotgun, they decide that their idea of throwing insults, jokes about
And empty
you losing your dentures,
recreational beverages?
and empty recreational beverage cans at you would probably not be the best idea. You're armed with a jeep, a shotgun, and a
And a
supervillain.
Mhm.
They didn't
And
see
a
the ninja.
That's right.
They did
ninja's
not see the
stealthy.
ninja.
Or you can get back in the car now.
Okay, none of those are mine. They would have said Granny right away.
They're really
they
not
did
cut
say-
out for this line of work, are they?
No.
Well, takes all kinds to fill the world.
Hmm.
And my family's filling a lot of it right up now.
Canonically, all of Rhode Island.
Olive Rhode Island. Mhm. Yep.
All right.
Anyway,
Uh,
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm going to drive up to the tower.
We should look and see if the tower overlooks the diner, shouldn't we?
That's the plan.
All right. So you go up to the top of the tower, and it's a nice view of the cemetery. It's a communal grave. There's one marker for all of them. You can actually
Concerning.
see the marker in the picture that I shared with you.
Mhm.
Oh, lords.
Yes. I have been to the location where that photo was taken. I have a photo similar to that, but I couldn't find it. But in any case, you have a great view of the cemetery. You have a great view of that field across the way, of a big row of trees over there, and a hill that is much larger than this tower, which continues to disprove the whole idea that this was meant to be a lookout, because you don't have the range that a lookout would require.
I'd like to get
On-
on top of the tower to see if I can get a better view of anything.
With that, you can see a churchyard on the other side of the trees, which has
You know,
additional
speaking-
graves.
Speaking of local legends, I was reminded recently that I grew up near a road called Spooks Hill Road, and it was universally accepted that Spooks Hill was haunted.
I don't believe in spooks.
I've
Nobody
met a
could
lot of
agree.
them. Mhm.
Nobody could agree on which hill Spooks Hill was.
Oh, that's a thing.
But one of those hills out there's haunted. There's
So,
ghosts in them there hills.
With the
It-
Sorry.
with the additional 20 feet of height, can Lucille's third eye get us a better view of the town?
I'm going to say sure.
Excellent. I would like to try that.
All right. Well, looking over this way, that's the high school. Over this, that's autos repairs. Okay, that is not a direct line from point A to point. How did we get from there to there? That doesn't. And over there is the sun reflecting off of all the chrome. Yep. There's the diner. That direction. That way's the diner.
Okay. As soon as I know that, I'm getting back in the Jeep.
All
I'll be
right.
down, getting to the Jeep.
Mhm.
All right. It is around 10:45 now because you took some additional time at the tower looking around. So if you follow the direction and maybe not follow the direction, but not as much the traffic signals.
I am a worldly explorer who drives like a maniac.
And also you're in a vehicle that is equipped for off-road.
Yes.
Are we going through the graveyard?
No, you were able to avoid having
Don't
to
have
go
to-
through the graveyard.
Don't have to worry
Other
about hitting
yards.
headstones.
Well, at the tower, you are correct. The graveyard in the church, not so much. But you do end up going through a few yards, and some hedges have been not as neatly trimmed, but they have definitely been trimmed. And you have finally reached to the point where, yes, you can see it on the horizon, gleaming like a shining, blinding beacon there in front of you, The new Cannington Diner. Your typical greasy
Wonderful.
spoon diner where the menu hasn't changed in 40 years and neither has most of the staff. They have a lunch
that's why we
buffet
like it.
special every alternating Thursday to get rid of any produce that's about to go bad. The regulars, a mix of New Cannington residents and visitors from the nearby Jonah City suburbs, don't seem to notice. And there's one last GM intrusion. This is for all of you. The diner shares a parking lot with the church next door. No, not that church. The other church. No, the other church. Why does this town have so many churches? Usually a diner that's open on Sundays can do a lot of business this close to a church. But from the look of it, there's a funeral service taking place. Or a wedding. Probably not both. Maybe some of you need to get better reading glasses to find out what's going on from a distance. Anyway, that's not the issue. The problem is, because it shares a parking lot with that church and there's an event at the church, the diner's parking lot, which is the only parking lot in comfortable walking distance, is at capacity. This is your final GM intrusion of the evening. What do you do?
We could park on the church lawn.
We could park on the diner if we could. Well, never mind. We can't fly that.
Not with that attitude.
I need to check something.
Okay.
I'm going to lean back, and this is the funniest option I can think of. I'm going to lean
Well, it's
back
the final intrusion.
and suggest to Lucille that she give Thora a hand. Maybe a little inspiration.
And what am I doing?
Thora, would you mind vacating a space for us?
Okay. I get out of the vehicle. I look around. And I'm looking for like a little Volkswagen that wouldn't be too hard to push.
There's a smart car.
That one.
Those are tiny.
Oh, yes, you can do it, I'm sure.
Okay. So I'm gonna go. It's probably. Is it pulled in so that the front of the car is facing out of the parking space, or is it the other way around?
It's a smart car. They actually pulled in and did half of a U-turn. It's sideways.
It's sideways. Okay. So I'm gonna
Tiny.
I'm gonna try to steer the car from, I guess, the back of it and move it out of that space, and I'm gonna park it behind somebody else's smart car instead, long ways.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing. I don't know.
Io, thank you for that note. Io has used an ability.
Okay.
Io has used an ability called Inspire Aggression.
Okay. So I'm like glaring at this thing and growling at it and pushing it because, Thora's
I
been in the
need
weight
to
room
read this.
before.
I
Go
need
ahead.
to read this to you.
Sure.
I know
Your
this
words-
is not technically an attack roll, but
Oh, no, it's
Okay.
going to be.
All right.
Because it's funnier.
Mhm.
Your words twist the mind of a character within short range who is able to understand you, unlocking their more primitive instincts. As a result, they gain an asset on their might-based attack rolls for 1 minute. This takes an action to do,
Okay.
but Lucille's not in combat, so Lucille can spend her whole action doing this, and it's fine. Now, my suggestion to you, Thora,
Uh-huh.
is that you also have an ability called Bash.
Oh, that's right.
Now,
There is
Bash costs 1 might point, but you have an edge of 1 in might, which means it's free.
Oh, okay.
Other
Yeah.
people using Bash would have to exert additional effort, but for you, you just do it. But that also counts as an asset in your favor. So
Okay.
I would say for the average person, trying to push a car out of the way, slowly or quickly, would be an impossible task.
Mm-hmm.
I would
Thora who
argue.
convinced the home to put in a weight room, so she's got a little bit of. Now go on.
I would argue that'd be difficulty 7 for the average person.
Okay.
Because 7 times 3, you're looking at a number you just can't roll on a d20.
Okay.
But it goes down to a 6 because of Lucille.
Okay.
It goes down to a 5 if you're using Bash.
Okay.
I suggest that you spend 3 might pool to reduce that to a 4.
Okay.
So that'll take your might down to 13.
Okay.
Is there anything that can be done to
Okay.
help by anyone else?
I don't know. Do I click
yes.
the?
Yes,
Oh, I can do something.
Okay.
I have
Yeah.
it. I
Go ahead.
Can I go on this one just for a moment, Ellie?
Everyone's
Sure.
involved in this GM intrusion, so everyone can contribute
Can
something.
do it. Mm-hmm.
I have climbing gear. Basically, I have a hook and a rope. Natalie, can I tie this to the back of your Jeep so that you can help tow that thing out?
I can do you one better, I'm afraid.
Okay.
The Jeep's got a winch.
Okay. Cool.
Let's bring this down to difficulty 3. You need to roll a 9 or higher.
A 9
So
or
Hari,
higher?
would you please attach the winch to the bumper, the undercarriage of the smart car?
I believe this is probably something that Haru can figure out how to do.
You wrap it around something that you're pretty sure isn't just going to pop free, requiring you to remove the smart car one part at a time.
That would be a nuisance.
But I'm going to ask Thora to roll a d20.
Okay.
You have to get a 9 or higher.
Okay. I have a thing down here for a d20, I think.
That
I
is a
think it's
15.
Yes.
Okay. That smart car is now conveniently parked on top of that row of motorcycles.
Oh, no. Put it on top of an SUV.
Ooh.
That'll hold
Well,
it up better.
You had
Thora
to
said
use
she
the
was
motorcycles as a
blocking it.
ramp to get it on top of the SUV.
I did say I was going to
Well,
block another
okay.
smart car with it. I did say that, yeah.
Well, if there isn't one, it should go on top of the biggest SUV we can find.
Okay,
Is there
there
another
may
smart
or
car
may
to block
not
it
be a
behind?
new tower in town that is made of vehicles. It was like that when we got here.
We have no idea what happened.
No.
It's buffet time.
Oh, look at that. That's great.
Buffy time?
You walk in just a few minutes before 10. Sorry, so a few minutes before 11. 10
Mhm.
Kim went.
Right.
And I already established it is not a time distortion field. Just a few minutes before 11, and therefore, you are technically early.
Yes.
Excellent.
And that's where we're going to
Yay.
end it.
That was so much fun.
So, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for playing. Something I've seen in another Cypher Let's Play, which I thought was really neat, was at the end of it, in addition to giving plugs, and now I'm drawing things on the screen.
On the
Why am I drawing
thing.
things on the screen? Stop,
I don't
Crash,
know.
stop. I try to go to the other screen, and it just continues to draw this line. Stop.
Let go of control.
There you go.
But it's my push to talk. How will everyone hear me complaining about it? Anyway, something I saw in this other Let's Play for Cypher was while people were giving their plugs at the end, they were also sharing what their favorite part was of the session, what their favorite scene was, or what favorite character choice, any of that. Does anyone have a plug and a favorite thing? And/or?
And for. Uh-huh.
Well, Eo's mom writes books.
This is true. This is true.
Yes.
Elizabeth
And this is my favorite thing.
Mm.
Oh.
While we plug elizabeth-mccoy.com.
I think that the nice long rambling story about Natalie and that's how she borrowed a jet.
That was a pretty good one.
Mhm.
Sorry, that one stuck out.
Mhm.
Speaking
Speaking
of
of
books,
books.
My website is bookofjen.net. It's got mostly video game content, some book reviews, and whatever else I'm working on. I've got a couple of really long form blogs I'm trying to finish in between all of my other writing work. And so that's bookofjen.net. I'm also the host of the Shattered Soulstone podcast, which you can find at shatteredsoulstone.com, mostly about the Diablo series of games and whatever's going on with the companies that make them. And new episodes come out every Saturday. And my favorite part of this was Thora going to meet all of her grandkids and buy something from each of them, which resulted in like many bags of baked goods.
that was
Canonically 5 of, and not the plastic grocery bags, the giant paper ones.
Right, yes.
the good stuff.
Mhm.
The really good ones. And double bagged because you need them.
Right, yes.
Mhm.
Also,
All
the all the grandkids yelling out "grandma" and then realizing that they weren't the only person who had this grandma. You know?
That's canon.
Mhm.
Half of them were down from Rhode Island.
Of course. Hmm.
After all, it's the bake sale time.
Well, yeah, you got to support the family.
That's right.
You know
Eo,
what?
Did you have a favorite moment?
The Cambodia thing.
That was pretty good. These are all great moments. I'm upset that I go last.
We already got your good ones.
Oh, they're all good ones.
Mhm.
Don't ask me to choose. Wait, I asked myself to choose. Never mind.
Uh-huh.
Ellie, how about you?
For other characters, I really appreciated the moment where uh, Lucille intimidated the thugs.
Oh.
For my own character, I genuinely appreciated the moment where I got to say, "Hey, don't you have an ability that would help this other character use an ability that would help us?"
Mhm.
Let me help you help others. Help ourselves.
Exactly.
To the buffet.
Natalie aspires to be the support character. She's not the one actually doing anything. She's just the one who makes it happen.
And that works.
And speaking of Patreons,
Mhm.
You haven't told us yours yet.
I'm doing the plug first.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Patreon.com/CogwellGaming. Help us keep the lights on along with other illustrious patrons, which I don't have the list up
Oh no.
Oh no.
because I've got the wrong scene.
Shenshin, Walter.
Chris,
Those
Ellie, Eric, Shenshin, Walter, and Patron Emeritus.
And Patron Emeritus Cindy.
Mhm.
And my favorite moment, I was going to talk about how there were 2 failed rolls for the bake sale, and that made it better. Because that interaction would not have happened that way if you had succeeded and gotten out of there quickly. Instead, that was a record-breaking year for the bake sale. They have never made so much profit. There were people who were waiting around for like the last 10 minutes when all the stuff goes on like clearance where we got to get rid of this. So we're selling it for at a loss. They did not manage to buy discount snickerdoodles. The snickerdoodles went for full price.
Yep.
You want
They
those
didn't get to.
snickerdoodles?
That was going to be mine, but someone picked the bake sale, so I can't do that one.
Oh.
So
Aw.
I was going to say my second favorite moment was at the end when you all worked together.
Yes.
And then Ellie got that one right before my turn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's great. So I'm going to do the cop-out one.
Mhm.
My favorite moment was this entire time because I got to hang out on, and I know it's a total cop-out because everyone knows this about me already. I got to hang out on a Saturday evening with my closest friends, and this was wonderful.
Aw.
So
Aw.
thank you for this.
So I see how it is. You put the profit motive before the happiest moment, and then your happiest moment was you getting the GM.
But, you know, if someone comes over and has 2 things to tell you, the first thing they tell you is the thing they're trying to get out of the way. The second thing is the reason why they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they start off by saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry your great aunt Elsa passed away." Anyway, I was wondering if I could borrow the car next week.
Nope.
Yeah. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.